Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Truck Talk and Time with Jesus. Great thing about it is I am on my way home. It is Wednesday morning. Don't know the date to be offhand because my watch, I think, is rolled up in my blanket somewhere. Or it's in that truck somewhere, or it's gone. Which makes me sad because it was my Christmas present last year. And it wouldn't be the first time that I have lost something or broke something or misplaced something, or you know how the routine goes. I just don't get upset by things anymore, although I did like it. If I don't find it, then okay. Move on to the next. I put the next watch on. And for however long I have it. But I enjoyed it because it had a little push button on it. And how many of you are going, is he going to do the whole video about this watch? Well, I could. Would you want me to? Want me to describe how the alarms go off and I can't figure out how to turn the alarms off because watches these days, remember the watches in the old days used to have a little fold out paper and you could, it's kind of like that commercial. When you grow up, you become like your parents. The only difference is I do a lot more than what my parents did. Technology, I guess we kind of got eased into technology. You had to pretty much learn it. But I am on my way home. I'll get home in a couple hours and try to get as much done as I can get done between today and tomorrow. And back at it Friday. I just appreciate the miles, even though it cuts into home time. But sometimes it's, what are you going to do? I don't want to complain about it because Jesus, he has our finances. So I was just looking at the gauges and I'm like, how in the world is my car almost on empty? It shouldn't be almost empty by the time I get back to the house. I was about to say, wait a minute. So, first of all, I just want to thank everybody. I went on there and I read the comments on the passing away of a dear friend of mine. It's like most people, I think back the days that I got irritated, and I think back on the days that we had good talks about things and just shared Jesus. And it's not like I got a lot of godly people in my life that I can pick up the phone and go, hey, the only person I really got that I talk to on the phone is Darlene, basically. Other than that, people from this trucking world and, people always claim to be Christians. And then when you get out of something, wow, look out. There's so many people believe the fact that we can be saved by someone else's grace. And I struggle why people think this. Because if that's the case, even being married, just because if Darlene's faithful to Christ and she prays for me and asks for forgiveness, somebody does wrong and you ask for forgiveness, doesn't necessarily mean that person's forgiven. That person still has to own up to what they did. They're going to be judged by God, whether it's here or if it's in the end time. The very last day. The very last day, if you're still on this earth, you're going straight to hell. There is no judgment. That's your judgment. Our judgment, most of our judgment in hell is going to be, you're going to relive everything you did. God doesn't really have to punish us. We're punishing ourselves. God tried to save us from this by sending Jesus. He thought he'd wake us up when the flood happened, but I guess that didn't wake up people. I remember sitting in court once, and I remember the charges were pretty bad, and I was sitting there, and my public defender goes, I said, so what are you thinking after, because he went from the first part and they set up another date to come back to get time to get everything situated, evidence, whatever. And so when I sat down with them half hour people, prior to us walking in there, and barely even had enough time to even get that half hour. And I'm like, because he was constantly on his phone, constantly doing something. I'm like, and I finally just said, will you just stop for a moment? You know, I know what's going on here, but you're supposed to be helping me. And you're not helping me, you're frustrating me. So he says, listen, as a public defender, we try to get you off on things, but necessarily not all the time. You know, we try to do the best we can with the limitation and the abilities that we have and the time frame that we get paid on. So most of the time we just plead for the less of the less and try to keep you out of jail, but do the less of the less. It might be community service. It might be, you know, you get time to pay off the fine, but since you're working, whatever's going to be the best in this point. And I'm just staring at this guy. I'm telling you all this for what I'm about to tell you. And I'm telling you all this, and we go in there, we sit down. Now, I've had many times that I've come across somebody that I think back at going, wow, was that an angel or was that Jesus? You know, because you think about when Mary Magdalene ran there to the grave and she thought Jesus was a gardener, and she said, just please tell me where he is, you know, or where you took him, whatever it was. And so she obviously didn't recognize him. When Jesus was standing on the beach and they were out fishing, obviously they didn't recognize him. And when Peter obviously recognized him, we see in the movies and stuff, I don't necessarily knows if it says if he swam to him. I would have to look it up myself. It's been so long since I looked up that passage. But we see him swimming to shore. But I do believe it says he jumped into the water and came quickly to him. Something in that order. So I would imagine that's probably why we get the view of him swimming towards Jesus. I would imagine I would be swimming because what are you going to do? Dog paddle all the way to him? I mean, it depends on how far out you are. They're fishing. So he would have to be pretty far out. Now, I remember a person, I want to get back to the court thing. I remember a person saying one time they said, you know what amazes me? How people confuse the time that Jesus telling them to toss the net over the side and the time that they were fishing. And I was like, okay. I said, you know what amazes me? That people want to debate something when they really don't even know the truth themselves. That's why we're able to read the Word, because Satan knows. He knows how much we read. He you know, the watchers are watching us all the time. They're that shadow that you used to play with when you're a kid. That's that imaginary friend that you could see that nobody else could see. You grow up and you lose that imaginary friend. You know something? You grow up and you lose that imaginary friend. Why do you lose that imaginary friend? Because it's more part of you now than you are of you. That's that voice in your head that's constantly leading you to the stray. How many times does people cave into peer pressure? Well, I might as well just do it and get done with it. Well, that kind of stuff doesn't lead. It just keeps coming back and back and back and back and back. I mean, it's like a broken record. It just keeps repeating. When are you finally, I mean, I've known people that fall into peer pressure a lot. And I just sit there and I go, whatever you feel like doing, do it. Just do it. If you don't feel like going, then don't go. If you want to go, go. I mean, I could say no. If somebody was asking me, I could say no. I mean, let's just say Darlene. She come up there and I said, if I told her no, she wouldn't go. Because she's submissive to me as she is to Jesus. Now, if I wasn't probably following a godly lifestyle, would she still do it? Yes. I guarantee it she would. You know why? Because she's not doing it. She's doing it to Jesus. Not me at this point. And that's where I'm going with this. Let me say this real quick and then I'll get back to the court. So, if you're praying for someone and you're in a marriage, you go to church, you're reading the Bible, and the other one's over there, F this, F that, screw this, and blah, 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 blah. And then you go into the fact of okay, this could happen, that could happen, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying blah, blah, blah because think about it, the whole concept of this. It is a bunch of blah. Because the fact of it is, let's just think about it. Because we're married, it's still up to me. I just told a lady this a while back, a few days ago. I said, listen, here's the problem we have. The problem is, you can go to a pastor and listen to him all night and day. That pastor is just to present a teaching. It's up to you to go in there and look at the Word. It's up to you when you're having a problem, open up that Bible and find the problem. We don't need to go to a psychiatrist. We don't need to go and get medicines because we're depressed. You're depressed because you allowed Satan to put you in that depression. You didn't need a psychiatrist to get you into the depression, did you? So how's that psychiatrist? It's like going to a statue of Mary. Oh, Mary, please forgive me. Now, I'm not coming against the Catholics. I'm not doing that at all. I'm just saying, if you can honestly, my thing is, how do you believe Mary can possibly forgive your sins? Did you do something to Mary? If you did something to me and you went to Tony over there and say, Tony, hey, forgive me. For what? Oh, well, when your lunch bag got knocked over and everybody was laughing and then it fell out on the ground and I put it back in the bag and put it in there and then you came and ate it. No, you mean that happened to Nelson. Why are you asking me for forgiveness? Well, why don't you could just go over and tell him that I was sorry for it. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You got to own up for what you've done. You got to be very careful when you come against a Christian. I mean, a faithful Christian, not these going backside and I can go do this, I can do this. I'm going to read my devotion. I'm going to listen to devotions on the way to going to a place that's all alcohol bound and dancing and carrying on and people acting stupid. I'm a big fool of stupid. I've been in plenty of places and done stupid. I ended up with a lot of fines doing stupid. I end up with more smashed cars, more smashed up stuff and broken stuff and bruised body and bloody noses and you name it over stupid. Not to mention fees, if I didn't mention that in the beginning of stupid. Well, look at where we're at. I mean, seriously, look at where we're at right now. I guess it doesn't really make it any better because whatever the glare is coming out of that on the side there. But anyways, so let's go back to the court. So I'm sitting there and the judges, they're going back and forth. The prosecutor over there going off in this. And once they start going through, because this was a totally different judge, never read my case, didn't even read the file. He just wanted to hear what it was and all this. And then the prosecutor's over there reading off all this stuff. I'm looking at my public defender. I said, that has nothing to do with this case. It's like I'm being tried again for something I was already tried on, and I paid the price for it. So why do I got to get it thrown in my face again? He goes, well, I don't know, but I'm not going to interrupt him because you don't want to upset him. This has nothing to do with it. And at this point, the judge heard me. And the judge says, pardon me. He says, Mr. Robbins, do you have a problem? Because you are being disruptive, and I don't appreciate that in my court. What is on your mind that you don't agree with or what you're hearing or whatever? I said, Your Honor, what this prosecutor is bringing up right now, I've already paid that price. I've already paid for the fines. I already did the time for it. And whatever you gave me, with the courts here in Akron gave me, I've already paid it. So why do I got to listen to all this again? I don't understand it. And he looked at me, looked over at the prosecutor. The prosecutor kind of shut the file down. And he goes, I just want to hear the case we're hearing right now. I thought that was the case. I said, no, sir, it's not. He says, fair enough. So then this prosecutor decides we're going to start reading the case. They start going on and 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 on about everything and anything that was far from the case. And again, now I'm pissed. I'm like, will you do something? I mean, I get it. My taxes still pay for you. I do pay taxes. That tax money does go into this equation. So in a way, I am still paying, whether I can afford you or not. That's why you're a public defender. Public defenders, in my case, in my book, every time I've had one, not so good. I would have been better to just do it myself. So at this point, now the judge is really ticked off at me because I'm bursting out loud again. And at that point, he says, one more, and I'm going to hold you in contempt. Now, granted, I didn't know what that meant. But I just knew that if he's saying that, it can't be good, and I didn't want whatever that was. So I sat there. Here comes this guy with the briefcase, and he sat down. And the judge looked up at him and says, can we pause this for a moment? Everybody agree? Shuts the recording off and says, can I help you? And he goes, yes, you may. Can I approach the bench with both counsels? Walks up there. And as they walk up here, he puts the briefcase down on the table where I was sitting. He looks over at me and goes, don't worry. And I've said, easy for you to say. He looked at me and he says, are you guilty? I said a couple things, but not all of it that I'm about to go to jail for. I said, but it is what it is at this point. He says, why don't you tell them the truth? And I said, you don't do that on the streets. Bad things come to you. He just nodded his head, walked up here. Public defender came back, grabbed his papers, put it into his briefcase, left the chart that he had for me, left it on there. That guy come back and sat down. He turned it back on, and he asked him to announce who he was and all that, and he did. And he said, I am now over the case of such and such and such. Gave my name and a bunch of numbers, and the prosecutor. The judge looked over at the prosecutor, says, do you agree with what we have spoke with? And the prosecutor says, yes, we will accept that offer. Guy looks over at me. And he says, judge says, you may update your client, sign the paperwork, and let me know the schedule. He said, how long do you need? He goes, Your Honor, I can do it right now. We can sign it all and give it to you right now. He says, that's fine. So he paused it a minute, and he's sitting there, and this guy's explaining to me. He says, here's your option. You can go to jail, and they will put you on a community service in jail. Whatever they need you to do, whether it's going somewhere, cleaning up trash, going to buildings, cleaning, doing yard work, whatever it is. I said, is there an option B? He said, yes. I said, what is option B? You can tell me how much you can afford to pay a month, or a week, or every 2 weeks. I said, well, I get paid weekly. I'd rather pay weekly and pay so much to get it paid off. He says, I said, how much is the fine? You were found guilty of 2 things. Everything else, there's no proof. There's no proof that you did it because you didn't do it. I said, how do you know that? I didn't even tell you what I did or didn't do. He says, you didn't do it. I know you didn't do it. So let's just leave it at that so we can close this case down and walk out of here. I said, oh, okay. You owe the courts $855 and $100 for court time. Awesome, almost $1,000. Now, granted, back then, people, I got a raise. I was making $325 an hour doing landscaping. How does that strike you? But back then, man, I felt like a millionaire walking around with that kind of money in my pocket. Every payday, man, I was loving it. I could finally buy food. I could finally buy drinks. I could finally put gas in my car. I was living the dream. So I said, wow, what happens if I don't pay it off this year? Because, you know, I only work in the winter if it snows. Yeah, well, we'll cross that when it comes. I'll just put in for an extension. As long as you're faithful and you're making the payments every week, you're not going to have this problem. I said, okay. So he goes up there, presents it. I did $25 a week. And that, I mean, even that was a lot coming out of my paycheck. So I paid it. But the good thing about it is they were open 24 hours, so I could go down there on Saturday because I got paid on Saturday. I could go down there Saturday after work and pay it. There was no excuses because I was allowed to pay it 24 hours. Kind of hard to say, well, you guys were closed and I got to work on Monday. And I worked on Saturdays too. So we go to leave. I shook his hand and I thanked him. And he says, I'm hungry. I was like, you're hungry? I said, here I'm thinking about, I got a day off of work and I want to go work on my car and do whatever, and I'm thinking about it. He goes, let's go get something to eat. My treat. And I went, dang it. How do I go and try to get out of this one? So I went, and we're sitting there, and he orders some food. I said, I don't get paid till tomorrow. So, because I didn't go to work Saturday, and today's Monday, I had to be here. So, what am I supposed to do? He says, no, I didn't ask you if you were paying. I said I was hungry. Let's go get something to eat. I said, but sir, I can't just assume something's going to take place when I don't know. He says, that's always a good way to be. So then as he's sitting there and he says, so do you believe that in anything? I said, what do you mean by that? I mean, anything's anything. It's like this or that. And he looked at me and goes, well, our food's coming. Do you mind if I pray over the food? I said, not at all. So I sat there and listened to him pray. And he says, why are you so angry at God? I said, do you really want to get into this? And he said, yeah, I do. I said, well, what good is God? All this bad stuff happens in the world, and God just sits there that he could just clearly speak a word, and it'll be done. Jesus, in the Bible, clearly spoke words, and it was done. He healed people not even having to be there. Look at the soldier that came up and said, whether he was the chief soldier over everything, but he said, I gather he was, because what did he say? He said that even the soldiers do what I say. I tell them to come, they come. I tell them to go, they go. You speak it, and it should be done. Oh, I didn't realize you knew the word. I said, I don't. I just remember certain scriptures that I've heard that people have spoken to me, and I thought, that kind of stuff stuck in my head because I'm thinking in my head going, wow, how amazing is it that a man can calm a storm just by putting his hand on top of a water? I said, it's amazing. I said, I know the spiritual stuff can happen because I've seen it happen in the dark realm. He just nodded his head. He says, you know what's amazing that I haven't heard you say? I said, what's that? He goes, what's amazing is how mercy is able to accomplish everything. I said, mercy? You're right. He says, without mercy, there's no salvation. Forgiveness cures your heart. It allows you to walk in peace. I said, right. Sure it does. He says, do you not feel better when somebody comes up and says they're sorry to you for what they've done? I said, no. Actually, I just want to be left alone. I don't even want them to come up and say it because half of them don't do it with the right heart. And I said, and some of them comes up here, I just want to punch him as hard as I can. I said, so where's the right and where's the wrong? He says, well, I guess maybe we can have other talks throughout the weeks. Because you're not going to be too busy now. Besides work. Because I would imagine you're not going to go hang out with these people anymore that got you in all this trouble. Right. That sure, I wish that was a great thing. I probably should have done that. But you see, all the trouble I was in, and mercy walked into that court. Jesus walked into that court. Not a courtroom, people. Jesus walked into my court, into my life, and set me free. Set me free from the binds of the chains that I had created. Set me free from Lucifer's claws and the control that I gave to Satan. And the control I gave to Satan. And the control I gave to Satan. And that's something. Every day I sit and think about, and I mean this, every day I think about, I don't deserve what God has given me. I don't deserve the house that I go home to. I don't deserve this car. I don't deserve His mercy. I don't deserve Jesus' blood. I don't deserve any kind of reward or anything that He pours out over me. I think about the tools that Darlene has bought me. I think about that toolbox she just bought me. And to some people, it's like, it's just a toolbox, Nelson's possessions, blah, 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 blah. No, you don't understand. I had to use junky tools that were bent up, broken, rusted, because people stealing your stuff, people not returning your stuff. You see where I'm at? And, you know, I don't care. I'll just... Whew. Always be nice and wave, whether they can see you or not. But anyways, but I'm glad. For once I can walk with my head upright. And I can walk and say, I did the best I could do. No matter how hard you try at something, no matter where you're at in life, if you're doing it alone, you're never going to accomplish nothing. You may think you accomplished something. Some of these people may think, well, I'm not sick. I have a home. I got a nice car. I got a nice job. I went to school. I'm living the dream. And I did it myself. Well, that's a sad life then. I bet you most of these people don't have relationships in their life. They're just buried themselves. Anybody ever work for a building like you see in these movies where the boss stays there all the time and constantly blah, blah, blah? I mean, we've seen it like the Ebenezer Scrooge type deals and stuff. They make movies like that because it had, somewhere down the line, they had to run into somebody. I knew a girl, honestly, very, very attractive woman. And had a lot of stuff going for her. She had, she was looking forward to hopefully getting this modeling career. And basically one of these type of things that all these guys, she'd walk into a room and everybody wanted to be her boyfriend, basically. And it was funny because she was kind of more of like a tomboy type deal. She wasn't like the girly thing, but her mother, I always said her mother was living through her. She goes, one day we were just sitting and we were staring at this lake. Just staring at it, not saying a word. She looked over at me and she just kind of touched her finger on top of my hand. And I said, "What's up?" She says, "I wish people could see this side of you instead of the scary side of you." Wow. I said, well, sometimes it's better this way. It's true. I said, what's up with you? I got a whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday, that I got to go do these photo shoots and go to this runway thing where it's for a wedding, and I got to put all these different dresses on and wear them. I said, basically, walk down there, you got to spin a certain way and wave a certain way. She said, pretty much. I said, well, don't sound so excited. You get paid for it or anything? She goes, oh yeah, I get paid. She goes, but hey, I don't want to do this. This is not what I want to do. I don't want to get into this, because there's so much wrong with even the pageants and all that. You got to look a certain way. You got to be a certain weight and stuff, and you got to watch what you eat. My mom's got me on these crazy food restrictions, and it's horrible. But my mom sits there and eats cookies and stuff on the way going to these places, and I'm just sitting there going, I said, the hell, don't do it. She just looked at me. I said, why are you doing it then? It makes no sense. None. She goes, well, it's not so easy. Plenty easy. Walk up to your mom and say, Mom, I don't want to do this. Walk up to your dad and say, Dad, I don't want to do this. I said, it's like, even then, people, I used to say it all the time, it's like, well, I don't understand how people say slavery's dead, because that's exactly what you're in. When you're doing stuff against your will, that's slavery. But its bad part is your parents. She goes, not my dad. My dad argues with my mom all the time. I was like, I said, is that why you never really went to any dances or anything? She goes, no, I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to date. I'm not allowed to do anything because it's distractions. Well, how in the world are you here right now? Well, don't take this wrong. I was like, okay. She says, my mom's not worried about you. She said you're not a handsome person and you're not popular with people, so she doesn't have nothing to worry about with me. I said, wow. Okay. I said, fair enough, I guess. How do you take that kind of news? She went, but you know, I know who you are inside. I said, well, that's just a polite way of saying beauty's on the inside, I guess. She goes, I never said you wasn't handsome. I never said anything like that. But the outside can be one way and the inside can be different. But if the inside's as ugly as the outside, and the outside is beautiful, but the inside's ugly, it's never going to work. I agree. There's a thing called attraction, but the thing with attraction is this. When you're attracted to something, and it's just because of one reason, out of lust, you accomplish nothing either. Because it becomes a one-night stand. And she goes, yes. And that's what a lot of these guys think that I'm going to do, and I won't. Fair enough. I said all this by staring at a lake. But do you see, people? What happened to her? I'll tell you. Glad you asked. She went Saturday to do the rehearsal. And where the gowns were going to be, in her section of gowns, she had so many dresses she had to wear. I think it was like 4 or 5 or something she had to put on for that particular event. And the strangest thing happened. This guy was moving a rack. There was a sharp edge on the rack. When he turned the rack around, somebody said something. He was moving the wrong rack. He turned around. As he did, that rack hit her on the side of the face and cut her face. She had it finally healed up, she had a bad scar. And they wouldn't use her anymore. And then it was like her mom started focusing on her younger sister and barely ever said a word to her. Aren't you glad we have Jesus' mercy? You may say, God, yes, but Jesus has mercy on us too. Jesus is our defender. He goes to God with that mercy that he has. It's crazy. Go down the road about 1.5 years, 2 years later, you know, she's going to church. We kind of separated our friendship because and she would talk to me. I mean, it wasn't like she ever tried to cram Jesus or anything down my throat because she knew my lifestyle. And she would always say, your lifestyle is very scary. I don't understand that, and I don't care to be around that. But she never treated me any different. Very nice. And what happened was, her whole family was on their way to go to some church event, and during the summer, and some guy ran a red light, plowed into the side, and killed her. I remember when a friend of mine told me that she died. Her youngest sister got scratched on the same cheek in the same area that day. Isn't that something? It was almost like she was being marked in the same area to remember her sister. Or for the mom to go. But a lot changed that day with the mom. Her mom wasn't so much on that roller coaster ride anymore. And I remember one day I ran into her mom at a store, and she walked up to me and she goes, how are you doing? And I said, fine. I said, how are you doing? She goes, I wasted time trying to make them do something that they didn't want to do. I said, yep, you sure did. She went, well, wow, thanks. I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I said, this is just exactly how I talk. I don't have a time to sit there and tell you something or try to make it one way or another way. Maybe it's exactly how you need to hear it. shook her head. She goes, so I'm not wasting any more time with this guy's driving off the side of the road, all over the road. And then here I go, I'm going to pass him. That's the smart thing to do, Nelson. Let's pass some guy that's driving off into the gravel area and back onto the road. So you can drift right into you and smash into your car. But the weird thing was, she says, I'm sorry for always judging you. I said, don't be sorry. You had every right to judge me and to keep your daughter far from me. I said, but I would have never hurt your daughter. I would have never brought her into a lifestyle that she may not have ever got out of. So is she still in that lifestyle? And I said, yeah, sure am. I said, it's the only love I feel on this earth. Words, I love you or I love you, are just words. There's no meaning behind it. People just use it. It's kind of like the word sorry. I'm sorry. You ever play the game Sorry? She said, yes. I said, do you ever notice how excited someone gets when they want to put you back in place? But, I'm sorry, it's just a game and it's somebody else. But yet they're laughing and got this crazy grin and look on their face like they're getting excited that they get to take you out of the game. She went, I never really thought about life that way. And I said, exactly how I look at life. Exactly how people look at me. I said, but I go into an evil world. And it's love. Fake. But it's still love. So you tell me a difference between fake and fake. At least there we were brotherhood. We stood by each other. Out here, family is fake. Oh, if you could have stayed with me. No, really? I asked you. But you let your husband brother stay with you. Huh. But I was never alone. Amazing. That's okay. It taught me how to be who I am. So you got to look at mercy. You got to look at God's grace, God's promises. Why do we have so much worry? Why do we have so much in life that we don't have answers to, but it dwells, we dwell and dwell and dwell. It's like a deep well, people. You just can't get out of it because you choose to stay in it. We have the power to go and lay it at Jesus' feet and know that He's going to take care of it. Now, we might have to do work. We might have to do something in the process also. It's not saying we're going to be exempt from doing anything. It's up to you what you're going to do with it. What are you going to do with today? See, when Jesus reached down that day and I tried letting go of His hand, and He just gripped my wrist even tighter. That was the day I realized He does love me. What the heck is that sound? Who knows? This thing's got a lot of goofy sounds. But anyways, if today's the day, are you ready? People look at all this bombs that are being exploded. Look at all these missiles going up in the air. What if we got struck today? What if we broke out into a full war? What if you were driving and crashed and didn't have time to repent? Well, you may say, well, I go to church, Nelson. I go to church. I believe in God. I do good deeds and all that, but do you have grudges? Do you gossip? Do you break someone's spirit down? Do you bring up false things and people believe it, and then they go spread a bunch of telephone games, and before you know it, you are the son of Hitler or the daughter of Hitler, and Satan is your best friend. Maybe you're exaggerating a little bit, but not too much sometimes in some people's life. That's how he was in my life. He was my best friend. I don't hear this. You're right, you don't. Because you know why? Because you are living in a fantasy storybook that your life is great and you're better than God himself. Because, well, I never had to live that way. And well, if I don't hear an M behind your eye soon, then I don't want to know about your eyes. Because without Christ, you are nothing. Nothing. Your education doesn't mean nothing to me. Your titles that you held and retired from don't mean nothing to me. I'm not a big person on pastors. Went through too many of them. Even after giving warning, I'm not doing none of that stuff, Nelson. Okay. And then you find out a couple months later exactly what you're doing. You can lie to me all night and day. I don't care if you lie to me. I don't care if I know you're telling me the truth, or if you're lying to me and I know it's either truth or a lie. I may not say anything to you. I may not say a word. I might just sit there and stare at you. Like, okay. Nelson, I didn't take your wallet. And as I'm standing there going, in my mind, yeah, you did. I watched you do it. I watched you do it. I watched you walk over by the dumpster. I watched you take all the money and stuff out, and I watched you throw my wallet into the dumpster. It's how I went over there and got my wallet back, because I watched you throw it into the dumpster. Not a word out of this person. So then I turned around and reached in my pocket and pulled my wallet out. The look on their face, like, oh, wow. Oh, so you had your wallet all the time? I said, no, I found it in that dumpster. Oh, what made you look in there? Oh, I seen the person walk over there and toss something up in there, so I decided, let me go see what that was, and sure enough, it was my wallet. The sad part is they took all my cash out of there, which was my whole paycheck. So now I'm going to have to see what I can either take to the pawn shop, or if I can go to work on Monday, or get a hold of the boss and say somebody took all my money, to see if he'll give me at least $20 or something so I can get by. Well, he wasn't home, didn't answer his phone. We didn't have cell phones back then. Ironic thing is, I woke up the next morning because I was going to drive to his house and ask him in person. And open up my door, and there was the money from my paycheck in the envelope and all. You know, the bank envelopes? It was laying on my seat. And anybody remember typewriters? In a typewriter thing, I am sorry, typed on the envelope. It was $35 short. But that's okay. It's kind of hard when people falsely accuse you of stuff. It's kind of hard, you know, when you grow up, everybody making fun of you, and you got problems like that. And, you know, after a while, people, you know, you can fight words off, but even as hateful as I was, words still hurt. I mean, you know, I did have feelings. But I would take them feelings and turn it into that anger, which helped in my fighting days and stuff, because you're out of control when you get in that ring, which makes you dangerous. When you have nothing to lose, and if you die, you die. You don't care. That's a scary person to fight. But that was life. I was just glad that they did return it. I had another guy who stole $550 off me. I cashed my check, and I was real tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I think one of the kids were actually sick at that time. And he came over and brought a 6-pack of beer over. We were sitting there. I had camouflage pants on, so I had it in my side pocket. And he stole it out of my pants pocket. Knowingly, I had kids, and I went over in the wintertime, put a water pump on his car, man. My fingertips were getting numb. Helped him move. Did a lot of stuff for that guy. And that's how he repaid me. I can still hold a grudge about it today if I wanted to. But what's that going to solve? Nothing. It's still, that thought will always cross for a reason. I asked Jesus to take everything out of my life. So I have to believe there's a reason why he wants me to remember the stuff I remember. The stuff that I don't. Every day I ask him, let me do accordingly to the Father's purpose, will, and plan for me. Let me do it in the authority that you have given me to do, but let me do it faithfully, no matter what this world says about me, whether I understand it or don't, remember it or do. Let it be done to glorify you and to glorify the Father. And this I ask in your blood, in your name, over me. Well, it kind of takes me out of the equation, don't it? Tired. And hungry. So Thanksgiving getting ready to come up. Hopefully we can do our Thanksgiving thing off to you guys, and I got a couple of the kids videos I want to do. I might do one tomorrow. Or I might do one in the truck. I can't believe Thanksgiving's next week. Awesome. So we all know Trump won. I think I was saying this in the beginning of the video, maybe not. I had a few videos, I deleted them. I spent a lot of time on them, but I just... You know, reading a lot of emails and the comments and stuff, you know, I think some people just have nothing better to do, and I'm okay with it. If you want to tear me apart in every direction you tear me apart in, that's okay. I never said that I didn't love my kids. If you said just because one thing I regret was having kids, well, yeah, because of how they act and what they say and do, and how they truly look at me when they know dang well I'm not like that. But it's okay. I don't need them in my life. It doesn't mean I don't love them. When I hear stuff that's going on in their lives, yeah, it makes me sad. I never wanted my kids to end up doing what they're doing. I tried very hard all my life to give them the best life, to be able to do things for them that I wasn't able to do, like what all parents want to do. And I did all my life try, the time that I had with them, try to make them a better person. Nothing I can do about it. But I can't entertain evil. I can't entertain people the falsely accusing. And that's exactly what they do. Tomorrow's a different day. If it comes, you know, we'll see what Trump's going to do. I'm hoping that he's going to lower down these utilities. Like he said, that's the second thing he's going to work on. I wish it was the first, because shut the border down. All right, shut it down. Start getting these people out of there, and then come back to it. But by God, get on these utilities and all these taxes that we pay on these properties. Get that in line. Get the gasoline down, the food costs down, these people's rents, mortgage payments. I mean, all this stuff just went cuckoo. But let's get it done. You have Congress, you have the border stuff, and I lost my mind. I don't know what I was going to say, but anyways, you know, you think about even today what's going on. It has not affected our lives. And I'm talking about Darlene and I. We were just talking about this morning. You know, our house payment was paid. We had food on the table. We had everything we needed. Everything. But we're faithful to God. Now I do take a couple steps here and there in the wrong direction, because I allowed the whispering heads to get under my skin. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I just know the more the time goes on, you know, how people think what they want to think, and people go on for this, that Trump's going to do this. Well, he should be able to, because you know he's got most of the House and he's got the Senate, and you know, so all this should work. Well, Congress, and, you know, he should be able to pass stuff pretty fast. Good for him. Good for us. I'm just glad we don't have to do another 4 years of this nonsense. But then again, if Trump is involved in that 2025 thing that they were saying, it's going to cost us an additional $4,000 next year in our taxes. Just saying. Trying to see what that guy's doing. Man, again, I'm not complaining, people, but I drove in fog and rain and high winds since Friday. I'm exhausted. I mean, really, I am physically drained. I woke up this morning, body hurt so bad, I just didn't want to move. The truck was cold, the APU's not working in there, and I just got to a point where I was just like, oh God, how much more of this can I do? But I asked them to give me strength. I get to go home. I'm thankful for that. My company's got an extension going right now. If you work a 6, you do your 5 days and you work a 6th day. As long as you work 6 hours, you get an additional $275 on top of whatever you worked that day. So I got stuck going in the wrong direction, and I didn't really care because, I mean, I really wanted to go home yesterday, but when I woke up this morning, I was thanking God for that extra $275, and that they even gave it to me, because I end up basically, I put in 5 hours. By the time I was done getting the truck cleaned and all that, I put in 5.5 hours. So I was only a half hour off, and I only had 8 hours left to drive, period. And then I had to do a 34. So, or wait 34 hours and then go back to work. And sometimes that's what happens. But I'll have today and tomorrow. But I got a lot to do. I always have a lot to do. I keep a lot to do because I just don't know what else I would do. I don't really like being alone anymore. I've been alone most of my life. And I know you may say, never alone, you got Jesus. True. I tell him in the garden every day. Some days that's all that keeps me going. It's amazing how you got family members that see the way they see, but you know, not one stuck up for me. I can tell when I walk in a room, I can feel it. There's times I touch someone's hand or I brush up against them, I can tell exactly what's happened in their life or whatever. But you know, it's okay. I only have to mail out one Christmas card. I mail it out to Darlene, and then it comes into her mail, and she opens it up, and there's her Christmas card. I really don't do that. It would be funny, wouldn't it? I think I'm going to do it. She don't really watch a lot of these videos, so I probably could do it. And she probably wouldn't know that I was doing it. But for the most part, she's heard a lot of it. Plus, she listens to a lot of other people that prophesy things. And most of my stuff's about life and just random thoughts like this video. I don't know. It helps people. I mean, I've heard people say that they really got a lot out of the videos. Good. Hopefully it's allowing you to see that you're important, your life's important. God doesn't make mistakes. You're beautiful. You're a smart person. Whether the world calls you dumb, whether the world says you're ugly, God doesn't make mistakes. just may be with the wrong person. That's a possibility. Maybe you got with that person before you found Jesus. And once you find Jesus, your life becomes an upside down deal. Because you're unequally yoked. On my way, UPS had an opportunity to go work for them. I didn't take it because I think they started out at $24 or $25 an hour. I wouldn't have to drive so far. I heard a guy in there today when I was leaving. I'd take some stuff up there, and whoever had my truck last week didn't turn in the APU issue and left his medication stuff in there. So I had to take it all up to the office, and I heard a guy saying he was retiring at December 31st will be his last day of employment with Walmart. Been with the company 42 years. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, 42 years. It's a long time. And he said he's watched Walmart grow, watched Walmart change, watched management change, and people come and go. And his thing is he wants to just go and enjoy life now. He's 67 years old. 40-some years with Walmart. Wow. That would have put him in his 20s, starting with Walmart. Long time. But you know, I don't even think about retirement. Sometimes I kind of wish that I could go back and change the event of money-wise. But I can't even really say that because God allowed it. And if God allowed it, there has to be a reason that He allowed it. So who am I to say? That's why I don't care about money. I've had money, been without money, got by with little money, got by with a lot of money. Here's what it is. Take it with me. You know, I'm just going to answer this one last email, and I'm probably going to end this. It's already an hour and 8 minutes. First of all, so I take it you watched the toy video before I removed it, showing the house and stuff like that. First of all, I wasn't bragging about my house. Some may look at it as below what they live in. Didn't matter. That's the house she liked. I liked it. I liked the fact that there was a garage. I liked the fact that there was power in the garage. You know, and we didn't have to change any floors. We didn't have to put carpet or remove carpet. We didn't have to paint. Oh, it was a dream come true. Plus, it was fully furnished. TVs, beds, You name it. Oh, Nelson, that's kind of nasty. You ever go to a hotel? Okay, be quiet. And I mean that out of love. Be quiet. Because that's just nonsense. There was a futon downstairs. Like I said, when we first moved in there, I think it was a couple weeks after we moved in, they were having a community sale. So I put a lot of the stuff out there and sold a lot of the stuff because we had so much stuff between everything was in there. Silverware, pots and pans, microwave. You name it. There was TV in the living room on the wall, TV in the one bedroom on the wall. No, it was on the dresser. I ended up putting it on the wall, which is the workout room / guest room / whatever room. The other bedroom basically turned, because it's a 2-bedroom house, but the other bedroom basically turned into a closet and her makeup room. The attic, I haven't quite started on it yet, but so they were going on about the toys, how selfish and foolish I am. I should be ashamed of myself. And I'm sitting there thinking in my head going, and then I spoke, I guess, in another video. I kind of remember the comments, but I don't really remember exactly what all I said. And they said something about, if that's what makes you happy, I feel bad for you. You should be ashamed that that's what makes you happy. What's wrong with collecting something or having it and the stuff on shelves? I guess I'm failing to see the issue here. I don't idolize it. If I had to sell it, I'd sell it. Would I be a little sad? Yeah. Do I get sad that I can't go and look through the bins and see if there's any hidden treasures? I enjoyed it. I really did. It brought my youth back to me. Then they said I came against Darlene when I mentioned that, the fact that she said, well, it's between you and God. And they said that that's a polite way of saying that she's telling you that she really doesn't want you to spend money on toys. I said, well, I disagree with you, because she would have just came right out and flat out told me. Well, you see, when you have a relationship that I don't care what she buys. I don't care if she goes and buys 16 dresses, 20 pairs of shoes. I get excited for it. I don't care if people look at her room and go, she's got all them clothes and all them shoes. So what? It's none of your business. I can't believe this. I can't believe it either. She just went and got her hair done. And I'm happy for her. I'm happy for once she don't have to sit there and sit on a hard floor for hours watching her daughter do it while she was goofing around on her phone, or going to buy this box crap and trying to put it in her hair. You may say, well, that's worldly ways, Nelson. Yeah, maybe it is. But you know what? If it makes her happy, then think of the good that she can do for Jesus. You don't think Jesus wants us happy? Do you think I had a guy at a Benz one night. It was late, and they were still open, and I kept filling. And that's when I was up in Columbus. I was at the DC, so I drove. I took my personal car because I parked there, and I took my car, took my shirt off, put my other shirt on, because they don't want you shopping in other stores with your uniform and stuff on. Well, I left my uniform pants on. Doesn't say who I drive for or anything on it. So I took that off and went in there, and I had this guy say, hey, because I was looking at these other people, because everybody's reselling stuff now. Everybody's trying this online stuff, and it gets a little frustrating. But it's the fact that when they pass over something or they don't know what it is and I'm able to get it. But anyways, this guy was across from me and I'm looking at all this stuff. Now, some of it was like older, like in the 80s, McDonald's hamburger toys, Happy Meal toys, not hamburger toys, but Happy Meal toys. And he just kept throwing all the stuff over there. And then he was picking up stuff and shoving it in the bag. And when I got home that day, because it was the night before that I was coming home the next day, I went in there and I was so excited. Darlene even said, she looked at some of the stuff, but she don't really get excited about that stuff. Or sometimes she'll come down and she helped me rearrange some of the shelves and stuff once. And I don't know. Sometimes it just makes me sad that people say the stuff they say. It's hurtful. I don't ask for anything. It's not that I'm having a pity party here, but there's dreams. Yeah, I've had dreams. I gave up on them. Ideas, I gave up on them. Building car, gave up on it. What's wrong with giving up on it? You may say, well, why? Why do that? How am I going to do it? Instead, I built model cars, and guess what? I got 2 left. I'm almost done with my last one, and I can't build. I'm not even going to be able to build those anymore because I'm not going to have the room. So it's like, we got lots of puzzles put together. I like doing that. It gets to a point that even the time that Darlene and I don't get together because of her work schedule and mine, and then when I'm going back to work, she's off. Like right now, if I would have made it home yesterday, I would have been home already and she would have been gone. So, in a way, I was happy that going and digging through bins and going and looking at stuff. And I was unpacking some of this Christmas stuff because we gave a lot of it away, our tree and everything. The new bulb we just bought, the new angel, all of it. We gave it all away. We decided by the time we get a chance to put the tree up, and then you got to fluff up the branches, put all that. Lights don't work, so it was a pre-lit tree. It was in the house when we got it, so the lights don't work. So then we had to go around and buy other lights put on it. By the time you string all that on there, it becomes exhausting after a while. Even though I'm going to miss it, I missed the times that we didn't have a Christmas tree up. It looks beautiful. But the problem is, then you got to move a few chairs out of the way, and where are you going to put it? And too much. So I am going to put the garland stuff on the fireplace. Put the stockings up. Can't believe it's almost Christmas. Think about it. I'll leave Friday this week. I'll leave Friday. Come home next week on Tuesday. I'm off Wednesday and Thursday. So Darlene was supposed to be off on Wednesday, but the new people that came into to take over, they don't want them to have Wednesday off. They're taking off Friday. Well, Darlene already gets Friday off, kind of, because she's got to do a few hours, and she usually does her ordering and all that stuff. But it's not like she has to go to work, because last year we got her laptop, and she's able to do the stuff at home, and I was able to get her a printer and stuff, and just everything worked out great. All because I was obedient and I listened and did what I heard Jesus say, get her a laptop. Okay. And then I ordered on this auction line, and she was wanting a printer, able to find her a printer. So it's awesome. It's awesome how things work. So enjoy life, people. Do what makes you happy. Whatever makes you happy, just live life. If you're married, you got a boyfriend, you got a girlfriend, hopefully you're doing it the right way. But if not, I guess you're all going to hell. Just joking. I think Jesus would want us to be happy and not mentally, physically abused. I can't see that keeping anybody out of heaven. Especially if you didn't know him then and you got married for whatever reasons why you got married for. I do agree one thing. I think people take marriage not so sacred. I believe people get married and divorced because that's what we can do. It's kind of like an abortion. Just go in there and have an abortion. Big deal. No big deal. But yet, why is it that some women that go and have abortions, later on they have regrets? But yet they do it again and have regrets. Maybe you should be more responsible. Just maybe. So I'm going to leave it on that note. God bless you guys. Love you. Thanks for being a part of this channel. Thanks for being a part of this roller coaster ride. And we're almost out of 2024. Times are changing. So I hope you all have a blessed rest of your week. And if you're off on the weekends, God bless you. May you enjoy some time with family. Try playing a game or something. You know, them old board games. Maybe just sit down and talk as a family. Maybe your husband's got to work or your wife's got to work. Maybe sit down with your kids. Play a game with them or something. Sit and talk to them. Maybe go out and get some ice cream. Eat some for me, okay? Don't tell anybody you're eating it for me. Well, you can tell your mom or your dad or your friends or whoever you're going with. Be like, well, hey, I got to eat this for this Nelson guy. Because he's not allowed to have any. He's not supposed to be eating it, but he cheated a couple times and had it. And if you're doing for somebody else, you get extra, see? Not only am I helping you out by giving you an extra ice cream cone or something. Oh, gosh. I could just see that. I could just see it going over right now. Mom? Yes? I'm getting an extra ice cream cone. Okay, why? Well, you know that guy that I watch on YouTube? Yeah. He said if we're having ice cream to eat one for him. So I just figured I would do that. And I would enjoy it because he loves ice cream a lot and he's not allowed to have it right now. But he's been sneaking it. Not really sneaking it because his wife sees him eating it. But the fact that he's not supposed to be doing it. So I figure if I eat it for him and then comment, hey, I ate an ice cream cone for you. It was really good. And it's your favorite kind. And taking one for the team. Honestly, truthfully. that kind of stuff means more to me than anything. A homemade Christmas card, when the kids used to make Christmas cards and give them to me, or they'd make me something and give it to me. Man, I loved those days. How in the world do you get stuck down in there like that? Jeez. But anyways, guys, if the next one comes, I'm going to pray for y'all. Whoever listens. No, I'm just kidding. I do pray for this channel and God to lead the right people to hear it. Whatever reason why these videos are the way they are, hopefully it's delivering somebody out of Satan's hands. So, till the next one.